By the end of this video, you'll be able to efficiently manage context in large code bases with Claude, ensuring it stays focused on the task at hand. This is crucial for maximizing productivity and accuracy in code analysis and development. You're likely working on complex projects with thousands of lines of code, and Claude's ability to understand and navigate this code is a game changer. However, as the codebase grows, so does the risk of Claude getting lost in the noise. Context management is key to preventing this and ensuring Claude provides relevant, accurate responses. With proper context management, you can filter out unnecessary code, highlight important sections, and guide Claude's attention to where it's needed most. This not only saves time, but also reduces the likelihood of errors and misunderstandings. We'll explore concrete techniques for managing context, including configuring Claude code, utilizing Claude.md, and leveraging MCP servers. You'll learn how to tailor Claude's context to your specific needs, making it an indispensable tool in your development workflow. To get started, open your current project and identify a specific section of code you'd like Claude to focus on. We'll build from there. Vocabulary, productivity, accuracy, context, configuration, workflow. By the end of this, you'll be able to set up your Claude code environment and start managing context in your huge code base. To get started, you need the latest version of the Claude API. You can check for updates by running Claude version in your terminal. If you're not on the latest version, update using pip install upgrade Claude. Next, you'll need a compatible code editor or IDE. I recommend Visual Studio Code with the Claude extension. To install the extension, open VS Code, navigate to the Extensions panel, and search for Claude. Click the Install button, and once it's installed, reload VS Code. Now, create a new file called Claude in your project's root directory. This file will store your Claude configuration. Add the following lines to Claude: Claude _your _key and Claude for URL. https://8p.claude.ai. Replace your _API_ key with your actual Claude API key. With your environment set up, you're ready to start managing context. Your next step is to open the command palette in VS Code by pressing Ctrl+Shift+P and typing Claude. Initialize context to set up your initial context configuration. Vocabulary, configuration, compatible, extension, initialize. By the end of this, you'll be able to define your project scope in Claude using Claude.md files. You've got your environment set up. Now it's time to understand how Claude's context management works. Context is key to keeping Claude focused on your huge code base. To manage context, you'll use Claude.md files to define your project scope. This involves setting up subagents, hooks, and skills to handle different aspects of your code base. Think of subagents as smaller, specialized versions of Claude that can handle specific tasks. Hooks allow you to trigger actions at specific points in your code, and skills define what Claude can do. By configuring these elements in your Claude.md file, you can keep Claude efficient and on track. For example, you might set up a subagent to handle documentation, another for testing, and use hooks to automate code formatting. To get started, create a new Claude.md file in the root of your project and add a subagent section. You can then define the skills and hooks for each subagent, keeping your codebase organized and Claude-focused. Try creating a Claude.md file now and add a subagent for documentation. This will give you a solid foundation for managing context in your project. Vocabulary, Claude.md, subagents, hooks, skills. All right, by the end of this scene, you'll be able to implement context management strategies in your workflow with Claude, making sure your codebase remains manageable and efficient. Let's start by narrowing down the context for Claude. This way, we can focus on specific parts of our project without cluttering his memory with unnecessary information. Here's how. 1. Create a specific prompt. In your Claude.md file, add a prompt that focuses on the current part of your codebase you're working on. Markdown. #project, my big codebase. #current task. Implementing context management. #problem. I need Claude to focus on specific parts of my codebase for the next 30 minutes. #requirements. Narrow context to the src/components directory. 2. Send a prompt. When you start working on a new task, send this prompt to Claude to ensure he's aware of your current project scope. Bash. Claude observer prompt narrow context to the src/components directory. For larger projects, distributing tasks across multiple MCP, multi-context protocol, servers can help manage Claude's memory more efficiently. Here's how you set it up. 1. Create a new MCP server. If you don't already have an MCP server running, start one with bash. Server, project, my big codebase, directory src/components. 2. Link your tasks to the MCP server. Make sure Claude knows which context it should use for specific tasks. Bash. Claude uplink project, my big codebase task, component update server, mcp1.example.com. Organizing your codebase can significantly improve how Claude interacts with it. Let's tidy up a bit. 1. Directory structure. Ensure your src/components is well organized. Break down large directories into smaller, more manageable subdirectories. 2. Code comments and documentation. Add comments and documentation to your files for better clarity. This helps Claude understand the context faster. Now, let's test our setup to see how it works in practice. 1. Ask a question. Ask a question about the src/components directory. Bash. Claude observer ask, what functions are available in src/components/login? 2. Check Claude's response. Observe how Claude provides answers related to your current context. Use specific prompts to focus Claude on relevant parts of your codebase. Utilize MCP servers for distributed task management. Organize your codebase with a clear directory structure and comments. By implementing these strategies, you'll keep Claude focused and enhance your development workflow. By the end of this, you'll be able to review Claude's output and fine-tune your context management approach. You've implemented a few strategies to keep Claude focused on your huge codebase. Now, let's talk about reviewing the results. You'll want to check if Claude's output is aligned with your project's requirements and goals. To do this, you'll need to assess the accuracy and relevance of the code snippets and suggestions Claude provides. One way to review results is by using the claude.md file to track changes and updates. You can compare the before and after states of your codebase to see how Claude's suggestions have impacted it. Take note of any areas where Claude's output is not quite what you expected. This could be due to outdated context, incomplete information, or simply a misalignment between Claude's understanding and your project's needs. To adjust your approach, you might need to update your context configuration, provide additional information, or adjust the scope of the tasks you're assigning to Claude. For example, you might need to add more details to your MCP server configuration or modify the subagents and hooks you're using to manage context. By iteratively reviewing and refining your context management strategy, you'll be able to optimize Claude's performance and ensure it's providing the most value to your project. Now, go review the results of your current context management setup and identify one area where you can adjust and improve Claude's output vocabulary, accuracy, relevance, configuration, refinement, optimization. By the end of this video, you'll be able to keep Claude focused on a huge code base using simple context management tips. You've seen how to optimize your workflow with Claude Code, the Claude API, and Claude.md. Now, it's time to put these tips into action. Start by integrating these context management strategies into your current project. Choose a small module, set up a Claude.md file, and observe how Claude's performance and focus improve. As you see the benefits, scale up to larger parts of your codebase. You can find all the code and workflows from this video in our GitHub repository, link below. If you want to stay up to date with the latest tips and best practices for working with Claude, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We're constantly exploring new ways to get the most out of Claude and Anthropic's tools. So, go ahead and give it a try. Start with a small module, set up your Claude.md file, and see the difference for yourself.